hello.
Oh, hello.
God,
So cheesy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And
we have clear skies tonight. It was forecast for clouds and more clouds. And I looked outside at about 6 o'clock, and I'm thinking this looks really clear. Out to the west. The west is really clear. And usually what you're going to see is that the west is what tells the story. The weather's coming in from the west most of the time. And yeah, if it's clear out that way, I know I have some clear skies for the next hour or two. And right now it's clear outside here in the UK, in the east of Essex. And hopefully we can kind of keep the skies clear for the next hour, 2 hours. That way we can kind of get some more new images in. I do have to confess, I did cheat on you. Last night ended up being really clear, and I started taking images of the Northern Trifid Nebula. Now, I would have rolled out the stream, however, where I stream from is dynamic, to say the least. So the studio wasn't set up. So what I did, I just started taking some images, and to be fair, it actually started. There was intermittent clouds rolling through, so it was very unpredictable last night. So I'm kind of glad I wasn't being frustrated with trying to present this and try to get some images. So the whole idea of tonight was that I was going to process the image I took a lot from last night. So I might still do that a little later on. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, tonight we're back to photographing the cosmos. I've already started taking an image because, well, I don't know how the clouds are going to go, so I wanted to get one started. And right now what I'm going to be taking a picture of is the Pelican Nebula. And I do believe I tried to get this one a few weeks ago, but it just didn't want to turn out. And to be fair, this one might be a little off. I have the camera cooled to 0 degrees right now. Ideally I do to keep it at -10. So what I'm going to do is get that fixed up there. So we are using the ASI Air. That's the Raspberry Pi controlled computer that does all the work. So I'm able to automate things as much as I can to make life just that much easier and keep the interest high. Because yeah, who wants to be mucking about with trying to find a target here and there? And yeah, I believe that people who worked hard to do this manually beforehand, before all this automation kind of came into play. But I've said it before, and it's just being able to do this with relative ease is that you're going to get more enjoyment out of this. You're not doing any more or any less effort than other people have. It's just that being able to have a easier time photographing space. And I think that something like that is just really important because it just gets more enjoyment, because I'm less faffing about with making sure that I'm properly polar aligned. I have a camera and an app for that tells me where to point the scope, so I'm properly polar aligned. I have the ASI Air, which tells me how to find out the way, exactly where it's pointing, so I don't have to keep tracking I don't have to go star hopping to try and find the target. So it's just those little bits of automation that I think are really important to maximizing, maximizing your enjoyment. Now, there are a lot of people do enjoy processing the photos more. There are other people who like to, who enjoy taking the photographs, and I'm almost erring towards the side of it's more enjoyable taking these photographs. Not that I don't like to process the images. It's that is also part of the fun of being able to see that image that you've taken. But yeah, I do enjoy just this whole aspect of photographing the cosmos. Now, what I'm doing right now, what you're seeing here, is I'm just adjusting the temperature, and usually you want to kind of cool the camera down gradually, else there's a chance that dew or frost might form on the sensor, and then it just takes a long time for that to kind of well, if you form frost on the sensor, that's almost your night shot. So you want to gradually cool that camera down and make sure that everything is nice and clear. Now it was at 0 for quite a while, and I've just dropped it down to -5. So probably in about 5-10 minutes, I'll drop it again to -10 to reach the desired temperature. But what do we got for space? I got a gigabyte left. We're fine. Also, the good thing about using this camera is that I have is that because it is a smaller sensor, I don't have larger files. When I was using my DSLR, the files were almost triple the size of what these are right now. So I think that's been really easy on the memory card. So I haven't emptied it out in quite a while. So I actually really should be doing that now that I have the warning. So yeah, we got 45 seconds to go for this image, and so what we're doing tonight is just photographing any area of the night sky that is going to be cloud free, and I'm just using my telescope, which is an 8-inch Ritchie-Chrétien with a ASI 533 dedicated astronomy camera, and what we do have, this is the scope that we're using, and move that there. That is there's a camera on the back. This is like the only window that I have this actually has the mouse displaying, so in a way I think this is actually kind of a little advantageous. So yeah, we are pretty much pointed straight up at the zenith where Deneb and the North American Nebula and the Pelican Nebula are at the moment. Now it's also good shooting straight up because you just have less atmosphere to go through. The image is going to be cleaner, and I'm seeing on the ASI Air right now that image has come through, and it looks, let me see this here. Yeah, I'm happy with that. It's there you go. Let's move some of those windows off of there. Now this is a shot that is straight out of the camera. Absolutely nothing has been done to process this image. This is what I would see as a single raw image that's come out of the camera, and yeah, that's turned out amazingly well. For sometimes things just don't always go to plan at the beginning, but this has turned out wonderfully. And unfortunately, because we are at the point in the season where the Milky Way is, well, it's not too bad that's right overhead. However, for me, I have a lot of trees in the way going to the west. So basically, this is going to be about as much of this section of the Milky Way that I'm going to be able to get, probably for actually, I guess I would have maybe an hour or two with this before it's obscured by the trees. So I guess it wouldn't actually be too bad shooting more of this while I have the opportunity. However, I like doing this more. It's yeah, just get a little more out of it there. Yeah, so the Pelican Nebula is an emission nebula, and this is why I'm picking up such a great signal from it, is because the filter I'm using is meant to capture the gases, the hydrogen gas mainly, that's illuminated in these areas of these star-forming regions. And now it wouldn't be a lot of these. What I'm taking a picture of isn't going to be a great visual target. You need a much larger telescope to be able to make out any details. Not any details, just it'd be like a gray smudge. But because the app, had the camera open for, there's a 10-minute exposure that I've taken here, is that you're able to get these details. And you can see how it is right now. It is even faint in the camera, so visually this wouldn't be a great one to be looking at. The Orion Nebula, which is on its way up into the southeastern area of the sky right now, kind of like come December, it's going to be higher in the sky, and it's just seeing Orion up in that portion of the sky it's just this presence that it has. Even last night, as I was packing things up, Orion was just enough up above the houses that I could see it, and it was just really good to see that constellation back in the sky, because I'm looking forward to shooting a whole bunch of targets in that area, and that's going to be really interesting, especially now with the new tools that I've been using, and there's some great areas to be really zoom in on and just pick out some details. Now with the on the Pelican Nebula here, what I'm going to do is just do a histogram stretch, and that just brings out the detail. You're not changing anything in the image at all. It's just with this stretch, you're bringing out you're just lightening the areas, and then so kind of revealing what's actually in the image there. And probably at about, see at maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock, Mars should be coming up over the house. And even last night I had the opportunity again to look at Mars, and just being able to tweak the system a little bit more to be able to see Mars was just, it's beautiful to see it, because it's visually it's a great target right now, because orbit is Earth's orbit and Mars' orbit are much closer. Mars is at opposition, so it's directly, so we're in line with that with the sun, so it's much larger, much brighter. It's just a great target to be looking at right now. And yeah, once that kind of rolls around, we'll point the telescope at Mars and have a look at that for a bit. And because it is more a visual thing. I can take some images, but it's not photographing images of planets is a much different process than doing the nebula, because while these are very faint, planets are very, very bright, and you need I was shooting at 1/50th of a second to get any image of Mars to kind of show up in there. So we'll see, maybe try and play around with a bit of the settings and try to get, I guess, the best image possible right now to see. And yeah, hopefully that it's gonna be something we can view shortly. So yeah, this I say that's about as stretched as we're gonna get right now. Hopefully that kind of looks as good on your screen as mine, because this is really good, because I'm happy with the stars around. Last night, for some reason, I was getting little tiny Vienna sausage stars, so I wasn't too happy with how guiding was working out. And you can see down the corners here, the star in the lower right here. Looks like I'm going to have to adjust the spacing a little bit, because I think I am still too close to the sensor, and maybe do a little collimation of the scope as well. But that's for the purpose of what I'm doing right now, I think everything is looking just fine. So the Pelican Nebula is much studied, because it is a particularly active mix of star formation and evolving gas clouds. Light from energetic young stars is causing an ionization front to gradually advance forward. particularly dense filaments of cold gas still remain, and that's like these long tendrils that you're seeing are those filaments, and just those wispy dust lanes that are just being ejected from star formation in the area. So because this is an active region, probably things are going to be changing in a few million years, where it's not going to look the same, because these gas clouds are so light and diffuse that they're going to change over time. There is, which one is it? I think it's V838 Monocerotis is a area of the sky with an evolving supernova, or a star forming a supernova. Oh, I gotta check that out. Oh, darn it. But it is an area that's been documented over the years, and you can see that the gas and dust is expanding around that star. I mean, other areas are in Cygnus, up by the Tulip Nebula. There's Cygnus X1, a black hole in a binary system that you can actually, that people have, you've seen like the waves, the gravitational waves kind of propagating outwards from that area. And yeah, it's just, some people, there's so much to look at, and it's really great that there are people picking out this one section just to document over the years. And it's just things like that is really pushing our understanding towards what's going on out there. And I just take 10-minute images and show it to you here, and like, here it is. Beautiful. I think the most astronomical event I've really captured on the fly would have been a meteor here and there. So there was during the lunar eclipse last year, a year and a half ago, when that meteor hit the moon, which is well documented because so many people were filming the moon, live streaming it. And I noticed that my pictures that I took, I missed the impact being caught on camera by about 3 seconds either side of my photographs. So it's the luck of the draw sometimes, most times with catching things like that. So but it was good. It was exciting to look through my images that I had taken to actually see, did I catch it? Did I but I didn't. It was just the time codes matching up with the time when it actually hit. It was just that 3 second difference that I missed it catching it for myself. These things happen. But because things are so well documented now, it's just being able to, more people are documenting these things, and more people are into astrophotography now, especially because of the lockdown that we had back in March. And it was just, you're staying in, what else can you do? What else is there, what can be done? And yeah, going out in your backyard, looking up with a pair of binoculars, or just pointing your mobile phone up into the sky, because a lot of phones now have longer exposure times available on them, and you can really tailor that to get some nice images of the night sky. The Google Pixel phone, that's doing a lot of great things there's an astrophotography mode in it now. With my phone, the Galaxy S10, the exposure time in the pro mode on the camera has been bumped up to 30 seconds, so I'm able to get some really nice wide field shots. Definitely not so much in the kind of images that I really want to process to a degree, but it's just just wanting to be able to look at the section of the sky and say, okay, right there in that spot, that's where I'm shooting tonight in the the deep field. So while I've been rambling on, I really should have been picking a new target to look at here. let's see, yeah, so the Pelican Nebula, beautiful section here, and I'm really happy with how this shot turned out, so I'm definitely going to save that image. And what I'll do is I'll kind of get a section online. I'll throw some more time into developing more of a website, just to kind of keep some content on there to be able to refer back to. Right now we are streaming. I'm streaming this through YouTube. Find me on there as Astro Canuck. On Facebook, that's the Astro Canuck. And where else am I going through? Twitch. Twitch is the primary channel that I do want to be working through, because a lot of the features that I'm using are that work well through Twitch, and I think it's just the community on there can be a really great place, and I think that a lot of people have really gravitated towards Twitch in the recent months, recent years, and a lot of people have made a good go of it. But for me, it's not. My intention is not to be like the greatest streamer ever, because there are other people who put a lot more effort in that, and that's great. But I think this is just a great platform to be able to catch any people that might be, I guess, looking for something new, looking for something different other than somebody playing video games. And that's not to say that I may not play a video game now and then, but at the same time, I think this is more purpose driven to what I want to be doing. So it's yeah, just kind of get the word out there. Is it's just what I want to be able to do with this. So just kind of any clear night that I have, aside from last night, I want to just be showing the universe to you guys. Now with the ASI Air, I've just dropped the temperature of the camera down to -10, and that's about the optimal temperature that I want to be running at. Usually anything else, it's basically let's say a law of diminishing returns. The colder you get on there, I think I'd probably have to go down to maybe -25 or 20 to kind of see any real difference between this, because I'll zoom in on the image here, and yeah, like really tight here, and yeah, you can see those, it's faint mottling, and the colors that are on there, just those hot pixels. But even zoomed in like this, you can still really decipher that those are like these dust lanes going through there, and the stars. It isn't this wash of red, green, and blue noise. So the whole idea of cooling your camera is that you reduce that thermal noise, and you're able to get just a cleaner picture right out of the gate. Or something like this. So let's have a look in Stellarium. And we'll have a look to see, let's see what's, okay, Mars should be coming up soon. To there we go. Right. I wanted to locate the meridian line, because that way I know which. Because right now we are on the or on the Pelican Nebula. And that's on the just to the west of the meridian. So don't know. Well, probably now I'm not going to be able to get any of the Veil Nebula anymore. That's going to be too far. That tree might be too much in the way there. Just seeing if there's anything, so I don't have to. Because right now the scope is, like I said, is pointing towards that side of the meridian. So if I can find a target, that's going to be that'd be favorable to that there. Now, Stellarium is also a free program that you can get that is your own kind of personal planetarium. And there's some great things that you can see in there and get a good idea of what's going on. And a message from Facebook. Hi, Mom. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys are enjoying this right now. We have clear skies, so hopefully I'm just trying to pick another target before any possible clouds want to roll in. But I think we're going to be good for the next hour or so. So let's see if there's anything else on this side before I jump back to the other side of the meridian. Now this section, I'm probably going to jump over to the other side there. I just want to make sure. All right, this looks like what would be the. It's a bit of a dark nebula. I don't know how well it's going to show up, but let's try and see. Let's get that there. All right, now save that image. What I'm going to do is enter in the coordinates. Which is 22 hours. We're going to see if we can capture this dark nebula. $22 9 minutes. 18, let's say 19 seconds. And the declination of 59 degrees. Degrees, 23 minutes, and 36, let's say 36, leave it at that. All right. So traditionally what happens is when a object kind of goes past the meridian, your scope would do a meridian flip. And it just reorients itself so that it's not going to be tracking any farther beyond, which usually, if you don't have a pier extension, like how I have on here, there's a good chance that your scope is going to hit the mount and you're kind of going to jam up the gears, and that's not what you want to have happen. So with this pier extension, I do have a lot more clearance, and it's yeah, there's a lot less worry of anything hitting it. The problem is that what can happen, or has happened to people in the past, is that they've with early version of the ASI Air, you've had a problem with the meridian flips not going well, and sometimes it would just keep rolling, and or it wouldn't align properly after the flip. And I've had that happen to me as well, where the scope didn't it didn't know where, wasn't sure where it was, you know. So luckily I was paying attention to it. I was watching the scope. I think whenever something like that is going on, that's supposed to be an automatic operation, is be there so you can turn things off if something goes wrong, because yeah, it's not worth having a $100 or £100 piece of equipment ruin, thousands of pounds, thousands of dollars that you've put money into. Yeah, so automation is great, but there are times when you really gotta pay attention to that on there. So yeah, the scope is flipped to the other side of the meridian now, so that when it does track the objects, it's going to be coming back to the east, and tracking to the west. And yeah, because this target is close to the meridian right now. And it looks like, yeah, I think I'm on target to where I want to be, because those two stars right there in Stellarium, and the basically dead center right now, those are two stars. And that is those two stars that we see in our frame right there. So let's just place all that image so we know, the scope knows where it is. And it looks like we're probably guiding. Yep, we're back on there. We are on a decent star. So yeah, let's start the exposure on that. Now the area that I'm looking at, let me see if I can pull up some information on there, because it's just one of those sections that's not that well documented, at least in Stellarium. Now I know this, I recognize this this dark nebula from other pictures, and it's part of a much wider complex, and I do want to find out what it is we're looking at. All right, that is Barnard 150. That's a dark nebula visible in the Cepheus constellation, also known as the Seahorse Nebula due to its shape. And let's see how this kind of comes out there, so we can get some more information on there. Now we'll see if that kind of comes out. It does look like it is. There are tons of stars in this region. Yeah, so it's this molecular cloud is about 1,200 years away from Earth, And yeah, yeah, there are stars forming within that region. And what let's jump into, while we're doing this exposure, let's jump into Space Engine and see if we can see this nebulous patch in there. Yeah, it does resemble, just looking at the Facebook's comments here, it does, yeah, have a dragon-like shape. Seahorse dragon. There's the Fighting Dragons Nebula, which is visible in the southern hemisphere, and it does resemble more the two heads of dragons coming together with the nebulous patches spreading out as their wings. So that's another. It'd be a good chance to get down to into Australia, maybe, to really get a good view of some of these other targets, because I mean, it's great to see other people capture them, but again, the core of everything that I'm doing is the fact that we're capturing these photons, and these are our images that we're putting out there. It's great to see them, the effort that people are putting in for their own work, but it's just that accomplishment or that pride in being able to call this your image. So yeah, I mean, it probably wouldn't be any worse, any better than what other people are taking what I would produce. But again, it's me capturing this image. I've taken the time to go out there and develop these photons myself. All right, so we have about 6 minutes left on the exposure, so let's jump into Space Engine. This is the free version of Space Engine, so it's an earlier build. So there's features that are different to it than there are for the newer version. Now, also, I am noticing for the audio that you can kind of hear the fan on the laptop, and I'm going to work on the microphone issues to be able to get a cleaner signal out there, so we don't have the hum and the whirl of everything kind of going on in the background there. But yeah, that's just, again, a big learning curve. All right, so actually it kind of left off on the 10th. Early in the morning at 12 minutes past midnight was when I was last on here. So let's, that's the time scale. What, today's time? There we are. Here's where we are. This is Earth at the 11th of October, and at 20 after, well, that's 20 hours. That's 20 after 8. All right, so maybe I gotta fix the time on that. Whatever. It's that's in the galactic sense of where we're going. The time by an hour isn't going to make a huge difference. So yeah, yeah, 11th October. So it is Thanksgiving weekend for my Canadian family and friends. Just want to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving, and hopefully you've had the closest Thanksgiving that you kind of can have with people at the moment. I know it's a little difficult right now, but yeah, just being able to even just share a quick Skype call with your family is just a way of connecting with people. So yeah, I mean, it's yeah, it's a holiday time that is all about togetherness when we really can't be together at the moment. So yeah, I mean, hang in there. I think things will eventually get a little better, but I digress. Just happy Thanksgiving to all my Canadian family and friends. Right, we're going to look for Barnard 150. Let's see if we can. Let's see if this has that in there. It does not. Where's Barnard 33? All right, let me see if I can find something else in that area of the sky that might allow me to locate it. Maybe I can pick out the see again. This is learning how to use Space Engine and picking out the area of the night sky. Let's see if I can just kind of point out the elephant trunk. Trunk Nebula, which is IC 1396, sorry. All right. NGC 7235. All right, let's point to that target. And maybe we can see let's increase our velocity here. Let's move up into light speeds of light. We want to move at light speeds of light years, so we're actually now again, moving through space in 3D is a little different, is a whole lot different than just looking at it as a flat object. Whether or not we're going to see this, I am just kind of broadly pointing towards that section. I'm saying we might have just blown past the Wizard Nebula a few light years ago. There's NGC 7235, and somewhere around this area was supposed to be Barnard 150. I mean, it could be around here. We're in quite the mass of gas and dust. So it's it could very well be right around here somewhere. But so this is a section where it could be in. It could be around all this. Areas, but hey, let's look back at the core of the galaxy and see if our exposure is finished. And it's complete. All right, so what I have punched in was the target coordinates for Barnard 150, which is the Seahorse Nebula, as its nickname has been known to be. Let's turn off the guiding there. I definitely probably have to really brighten up this image to see if anything is really going to show up. There's also, because it may be so dim, is all right. So let's bring up kind of stellarium and the ASI side by side here, so we can kind of get an idea of what we're looking for here. Because there's those two bright stars that we're seeing in stellarium is these two bright stars that we have right here. So just in the upper left corner, or sorry, the upper right corner of the image is that you can see the very faint shadow of that. See, I'm going to push this image as far as I can go here, because I think it's going to have to be an extreme contrast on this to be able to pick it out. And yeah, it's starting to come through there. This is one of those targets that you're going to have to spend a lot of time on to collect that light. Yeah, so yeah, it's a little, well, it's a lot noisy because I've stretched it now beyond what the image, what's a usable kind of image of it. But you can see that shadow. That is the that Seahorse Nebula patch of Barnard 150. So that's a tiny little spot that I've seen this in stellarium many times, and really not until at this point now have I had the equipment to be able to see that. So I think that's really cool to be able to catch that there for the first time ever. So this is me seeing it for the first time. This is you guys seeing it for the first time. It's just these are the little bits that I love to find in the sky. Now this definitely isn't an APOD image, but you know, this is like I said, this is our image. This is the Seahorse Nebula that we're seeing, this dark patch around there. Let me get the let's get the full screen there for the ASIR. Zoomed in too much there. Yeah, I'd say I'm pretty happy with that. Being able to see that little part of the sky, and actually at such a level of zoom as well. Like, I think again, the kind of target that I want to spend a lot more time on, given more time with clear skies. It's a bit of a, when we first had our lockdown in the UK, like I said, we had a great stretch of clear skies. However, this equipment that I had wasn't available at the time. And really, to be fair, this area of the night sky wasn't even available. It would have been much lower on the horizon, and my house, which I'm not going to knock down, was in the way. So, like I said, I got this one patch of the to the east that's available, and yeah, just take what I can get for it in this area. And I think of all the sections of the sky to have available, this is, I guess, the better for me. It's enjoyable because I do have like our area of the Orion spur in the Milky Way galaxy, but then we also are looking out into galaxy season. I do have a nice view towards away from the core of the Milky Way. And while there are some great targets within the core that I still haven't seen yet that are available in the northern hemisphere, I think being able to capture a bunch of more galaxies is very favorable. And I think I probably missed the window for, let's see, this one area called Stephan's Quintet, or Stephen's Quintet. I say Stephan. It just sounds a little more posh. Well, judging by how much that moved, I don't think it's in my section at the moment. You know what? Oh, it just might be. It just might be. All right. Yeah, so these are it's a series of interacting galaxies. Now some of them are a little farther away, but let's see, what's the distance? You know what? Let's, before I kind of start getting into all the nitty gritty bits of this, let's get this on target and start shooting that before it's out of the way. And then we will, let me see on the camera there. The security camera might be able to go to Mars after this one. So yeah, let's jump over to NGC 7318. Thank you. Which pictures are you referring to there? Just looking in the Facebook chat for. Is it just like the pictures in general, Ma, or is it a certain one there? Because they do on the on the right for the ASI Air. Those are my pictures. Those are other pictures that are generated through the Stellarium program. But let me get on that target right now. And we'll save that image, because despite having to really stretch it to the max, it's a great place to start. So, and because of its position, I could probably squeeze a few hours. If I start right when astronomical dark begins, I would probably be able to get more time on this. Yeah, we'll see how things go. Because maybe what I might do one night is to do this, and also while it's shooting, maybe we'll process an image that was done earlier on. And so what was the number? The NGC 7318. NGC 7318. Now it doesn't always have a little image on there, so unless you know exactly what your catalog numbered image is. let's get that moving into position. Now I may have to actually cancel this. As long as I don't pull the cord out. Oh, all right, we're not too bad. Now, doesn't look like we're seeing, well, I mean, for what we're seeing in Stellarium, so this red box that we're seeing in Stellarium here that's the kind of field of view that we're going to expect. So we're on target. They're right. Those look like those stars are matching up. Like we are pretty much dead center on there. Now let's get that. So let's get the exposure going. How's the guiding on this area? That'll be fine. That's a bright enough star. That's cool. You know, I also, well, I don't know why we got star lost. Stop guiding. Let's refresh. Sorry, I'm going to stop that exposure. I'm going to pick a star. That's going to be, you can see just that the upper left portion there. Really want that peak to be a nice point there for the guide star. You also don't want it to be too wide and bloated. I would say even doing it at this magnitude of a star is probably maybe the most you'd want to go. But because some of the light pollution in the area, even the cloud cover, if I pick a little bit of a brighter star, I do by myself a little bit of time before it's before the guiding just goes to pot. So let's start guiding on that. That's nice and bright, so that'll punch through any wispy clouds that might be coming through. But let's start that exposure. Let's stop that exposure. Why does this guiding think it's dithering? Are we good, stars? I wonder if it's because I stopped exposures. And again, there are times that when the ASI air will work perfectly and flawlessly throughout the entire night, and then I just wonder what's going to go wrong, and nothing does go wrong. That's fantastic when that happens, because it's always a big relief when nothing goes wrong. And then it does little things like this, where it's doing the dither when I wasn't taking a series of images. Now, dither is when you're taking pictures of the camera, you're taking pictures and it'll move the scope, the field of view ever so slightly, either a degree or two or a few pixels in either direction, and that just kind of randomizes any of the noise that comes through there, so that when you are stacking your images, you can average out that noise and you just have it'll just focus on stacking the stars, and everything else kind of gets erased and replaced with all your proper signal over the time of stacking all the images. So that's the whole point of dithering, is to just help your image and get rid of that any noise, because if the noise starts stacking up, then that's just going to get amplified, and you're going to have, like earlier when we just looked at the seahorse image, if you just had it tracking the whole night without doing any dithering, you're going to amplify all that noise that was in that image, and you'd be kind of left with an image that was very similar to what we were really stretching to the maximum there. So that's the the whole point of dithering there. Some people don't dither, and I mean, if they're just kind of relying on the natural movement of the mount, then that's fine. I do dither, and from the images that I've produced with from when I wouldn't dither with I'm saying dither a lot, dither. When I would use my old mount, where it would only move in the right ascension, you would get that walking noise. So all that similar noise would just kind of pile up as the image moved along. But now with being able to do this process, I just get rid of so much more random noise, and that's just left me with such a clean, buttery smooth image to work with, and it's just a pleasure to process those images now. It's not so much effortless, but there are you're just dealing with more signal than I am with a bunch of noise. Now we got right, so we have like 4.5 minutes here. So 4.5 minutes. We got about six or 7 minutes there. So let's go to Space Engine and get a look at Stephan's quintet, which was NGC 7318. And it doesn't help that I'm looking at Space Engine. You can't see it. There we go. Back where we left off, looking at the Milky Way. Now I know, I think it's interesting I guess maybe to illustrate how much space there is between stars, is that in this field of view, we haven't directly had a star kind of crop up right in front of us. Now it also just may be by the design of how this kind of runs through. Unless you're directly going towards a star. But hey, it's a cool little thing. Let's see some of these. A lot of these fuzzy bits are globular clusters around the Milky Way. Let's kind of go up above the galactic plane here. And I've already forgotten the code. NGC 7318. All right, let's, I wonder if it, okay, 7318, and let's just see if it actually is. Nope. Didn't know if it had its colloquial name. Colloquial. 7318. Yeah, so that's it. Let's go to Stephan's quintet. Why did it go to? Where's my go-to button? Go to, there we go. I need to back out of this a little bit. Yeah. How much more do I have to back out? Now there's that galaxy there, and that is NGC 7319. Let me pull up the information on Stephan's quintet. NGC 7318. Right, so quick little blurb on Stephan's quintet. It's, as its name implies, it is a group of 5 faint galaxies, all within an area of 4 arc minutes in the constellation of Pegasus. Now, it's just the arc minutes are depend on how much are spaced out in visually. And 4 of the 5 galaxies in Stephan quintet form a physical association and are involved in a cosmic dance that will most likely end in a galactic merger. So 4 out of 5 of those galaxies that we'll see in this image are gravitationally bound, much like we are with Andromeda and the Triangulum, and are all kind of mushed together and form a brand new galaxy in a few billion years. Let's see, it also apparently has been this collection of galaxies has been proof of redshift as a distance indicator. So the more red that something appears, like say this galaxy that I have in up here, that is 4.52, I say, galactic light years away. We are about 1.5 minutes from the exposure being done. Now, if I were to travel towards this red galaxy that we have highlighted on here, it would actually move from red to a white light. Same with this galaxy, which is double the distance of this one here. Now, right now we are focusing on Stephan's quintet, which comprises of NGC 7317, and that's that one in there, NGC 7318A, and NGC 7, that's not part of it, NGC 7319, let's see, back out a bit here. Is this one of them there? 7337, no. I want 7320. I have to come back out a little farther. That's one of the ones that aren't. Three, two, yeah, and this galaxy up here. NGC 7320. That's 2B. But you can just see that parallax shift of how these galaxies, well, we're much closer to them, but they're just moving in relation to the background galaxies. Again, all these points of light that we're looking at in the screen are not stars; they are entire galaxies themselves. And I think it's really cool just being able to see who's moving quicker against the foreground and the background. Is just that way of being able to see the distance of some of these objects. The ones that are more stationary in the background are much farther away. So, but this little collection of galaxies that we're looking at right now is what I'm going to be photographing, what I'm aiming to capture. And that capture is done. Now, also, because these are galaxies and I'm using a narrowband filter, they're not going to be showing up as bright as they would with a broadband filter. But this is, let's see if I drop the exposure. Well, that Give us a better glimpse of things. Yeah, so I don't know how to click away. Let's bump up the exposure a little bit there, see more galaxies. But this is one of the galaxies that's bound within. Again, the same idea as our galaxy. It's still this one is still a very flat disk, much like ours, a barred spiral galaxy. And if we were to travel within, we get the same kind of look where you have your dust lanes, you have your stars, you have your nebula, and these are all part of another galaxy that is how far away? We are 320 million light years away from our home galaxy. If we were to look at the Milky Way from here, probably wouldn't even be able to pick it out without the... And for some reason my mouse is not working on here. Doesn't want to point to it. Anyway, still move throughout space. So, galaxies. The real picture of Stefan's quintet. This is it. This is the image right out of the camera. 10-minute exposure. And fairly, looks like we had a bit of a nudge, possibly the wind, but we're still going to be able to see that. Right in the center here is are those 5 galaxies. Now let's do let's stretch that out there. And again, they are very faint, but they're there, dead center. I think if I were able to use the native focal length, I'd be able to get much deeper view, much more zoomed in shot of them. But this is that collection of galaxies that we were just looking at in Space Engine. And definitely with a lot more integration time, we're going to be able to pull out many more galaxies in that section. Let's see if the annotations will show what we're looking at here. And how are we for the night sky? I just had the guide star get lost. Maybe some clouds might be rolling in. Okay, so it is kind of the annotations are picking out the popular bits in there. But those are that little collection in the middle there. Yeah, I guess I did lose the star for a bit. But those little fuzzies there, that is Stefan's quintet. And again, a target like this is going to need much more integration time to be able to pick out those details, because they are very faint. Like I said, 380 million light years away. So yeah, it's a little difficult to make that out there. But let's just looking at the wonder if I were to move time forward, and actually I probably have to restart Space Engine to get it working again. But just having a look outside, it looks like it's not too bad. Now, when I turn off the night vision on the scope, I'm better able to see the night sky. Rather, when I turn on the infrared. Sure, the scope is highlighted and you can see some of the really bright stars, but yeah, it's easier to see cloud coverage when that's turned off. But let's pick another target, because if clouds are going to be rolling in, I don't want to be losing any more time. We're rolling up on just 10 o'clock for me right now. You can see up in the I'll get it right. I'll get it right. Up in the upper right, that is my time right now. And also for the latest follower there, I'm still working on getting that to pop up there so I can see who has followed me most recently on Twitch. So I currently have a lovely collection of 7 followers, and I appreciate all those for joining in there, and hopefully those watching on Facebook, on YouTube, maybe you give me a follow there. You can kind of get the updates on when I'm going to be online. Jumping on Twitch, and I am Astro Canuck, and just kind of give me a follow on there, and it just gives me a larger audience to broadcast to. So you're never going to be missing out on an alert when I'm going to jump on and just take some more pictures of the night sky, or just kind of show you some other cool little bits with astrophotography. I am also going to be working on developing some more videos, just to be able to have some just more content of resources that I've found helpful, that I've kind of discovered along the way, that other people cover it as well. But it's just to have that wealth of resources, because someone is going to look at something. What works for me may not work for you, but works for them may not work for me. And it's just being able to attack a problem from as many angles as possible. You're going to be able to get that right solution. And it's just that, like I said, that bank of knowledge that's out there. And everybody wants, for astrophotography, there's nobody who wants to be the supreme leader of astrophotography. We're here to help everybody else out, and hopefully, if there's anything more that you want to kind of pick my brain apart from about astrophotography, is just I'm more than willing to hear you out, and maybe I've encountered a similar issue, or it's just something that you can kind of brainstorm together. So yeah, it's just that community that's formed around this, around astronomy, around stargazing. Yeah, it's just everybody's out to help each other out, you know. So something has happened with my window. There we go. The joys of OBS. Things will just kind of randomly move. I guess when I might have actually resized a toolbar, and that mucked up the whole thing. That's kind of weird. But that's back in there. That's fine. All right. Let's. It's at 10 o'clock. Let's see if Mars is available, because we'll look at that. Look at that live. There's a moving video. Let's see, there's where we at. Mars is an elevation of how many degrees? 31 degrees. Oh. Maybe it won't. Couldn't have changed that much. All right, let's have a look there. All right, save that. Star lost. My guide star has been lost. Looks like I have some thin clouds coming in. Let's see. What's guiding there? Let's see if we can see Mars. Almost looks like the scope is pointing at the... Oh, do we have it? Do we have Mars? Yes, we do. All right. Excellent. Now, so I know you're looking at this big blob on the screen and everything. That's not Mars. And no, it doesn't look like Mars right now, because when it picks out the target to plate solve, it takes a 5-second exposure. And 5 seconds is way too long to be getting an image of Mars. So I got to change all that from 600 seconds, which is 10 minutes, down to 0.02 seconds. That is 1/50th of a second. Because like I said, planets are very, very bright. Now, usually I'll jump into the focus section in a second here, but just taking a single shot of Mars. And that teeny tiny disk, there's the red planet. Now let's zoom in on this as much as possible, because it's probably going to be a little distorted. But again, still, it's still just a white dot, you know? That ain't Mars. Come on. No, but it is. It really is. Let's do an auto stretch. It's even worse. That's even worse than not Mars. But I assure you, it is Mars. Let's turn off the guiding. We might be losing some sky tonight, but if we just start pulling back on the histogram, you know, this switch up the windows here, because this needs to need the full, as much real estate as possible for this one. Get it big on the screen there. When you start pulling back some of that brightness, moving away, you're gonna start to see, hopefully, yeah, really gotta start pulling back on there. See that histogram, you gotta go farther back, you gotta get away from the light. You can start to see some of that coming through there. Kind of like we're dealing with astrophoto with the nebula. You really got to finesse that. Now let's do one more. Let's do another exposure, because really so you're always going to get a little bit different results there, because that atmosphere is roiling low on the horizon. So it's like when you're looking down the end of a road on like a hot day, you see like that mirage of all the wavy lines, distortion coming up, and that's the same thing that's happening in the atmosphere trying to see the planets, because they're low on the horizon. They're more susceptible to be interfered with the atmosphere. And it also depends if there are clouds rolling through, like some thin clouds. It's really a gamble on whether or not you're going to pick out some details there. Actually, I took the exposure I probably shouldn't have, because that looked like it was a little better. And again, this is kind of the idea of lucky imaging, where you are trying to just get the best contrast, that kind of that split second of calm in the atmosphere. Let's pull that back a little more. Yes, yeah, it's not too bad coming out there. Oh, that's too far. Yeah, because you can see that dark band, that is This is one of the trenches on Mars. I'm still not, don't know the names of these sections cold. I have to look that one up, but it is, we're seeing more details on the surface of Mars here, rather than that white splotch that we had before. So now we see, I got like that kind of that point of the histogram dialed in there. Maybe we can snap a few more images and just get some better detail kind of cropping up. But again, it'd be more for the idea of taking a longer video of this image, and your program is going to stack the good images and just get rid of all the fuzzy bits that have way too much distortion, and eventually you come up with a much more detailed image of Mars. And if I move this to the focus, can I zoom in on that anymore? Now it looks like I'm going to have to do this way. There we go. So that's the idea of this section of the ASI Air, is to, this is when you're supposed to get your focus on your star, and but using the using this part of the tool to look at the planet is a bit of a workaround. And I think it's just, you can just see how it's moving so much, and that is just the atmosphere. You can see how it's distorting and warping. That's the atmosphere kind of, you know, roiling through the in front of the scope, coming up off the horizon, and yeah, you get some better shot. You can see this the flickers of clear and almost crisp images of the planet. What is that big circle? Which big circle? This, what we're looking at right now, that's Mars. That circle that's moving around, coming up there, that's the planet Mars. Yeah, to be fair, I could sit on this section for the rest of the night, but I want to move on to a different target. I just think it's really cool to be able to see it like this. You see how it's dimming? Those are probably the clouds kind of rolling around there. Obviously ruining the fun. Yeah, I'm going to leave that up there for right now. We pick a new target. Now I think it'd be, I wonder what, just a look of just up here, just above me in Stellarium. All right, I don't think it. All right, so there is the Stellarium's version of Mars versus my live shot of Mars. A little more detailed. But then again, they're using reference images from NASA, and I am using a little backyard telescope and a tiny astronomy camera. But this is our Mars. This is Mars that we're looking at right now. And nobody else is just showing this Mars at the moment. But it's just going to jump over to, actually, you know, let's, okay. Like, these are just the cool little things that kind of pop up. Now let's see if we can adjust the exposure and maybe we can make out Phobos and Deimos, the two the moons of Mars. Let's see, we have to jump out of here. Because we have to brighten that up because they are much dimmer. What we're looking for is it's above the dark band, so we're going up here. Let's do that. Let's zoom back in on Mars there. And what we want to see is maybe a consistent point of light in our image. Again, this is, we're pushing this to the extreme right now. You definitely wouldn't be trying to image anything on a stretch like this. You know what, let's bump up the exposure time. Let's go to get even brighter. I wonder if I might have a better shot just trying to find them like this. I don't know if we're going to be able to see them. Again, it's always just different ways of trying to bring up more detail. And I think I might actually be losing them in all the glare. Yeah, these things happen. That's fine. Let's jump back to that exposure. Let's put it back on Mars. Let's go back in there and we'll pick a new target. Right, the initial reason I was jumping over to Stellarium was to see Jupiter, just to see how large it would be in the sensor, to see what we could have expected to. Right. Now this is I've turned off the atmosphere in Stellarium, so during this at 5 o'clock in the evening, definitely wouldn't be able to see much. This is the view from my back garden, and like I said, the this shot to the east is my only real window, and then a little to the northeast. And like I said, straight up. But once you start going over to the south and the west, there's these trees. But the whole point of this one was to, let's turn off the atmosphere. Just have a look at what Jupiter and Saturn would have looked like. Now they're much farther away than Mars, but they're also much larger than Mars. So I think Saturn Saturn would have been a nice one to see. Had it have been available, because when they were coming up in the sky earlier on, they were much lower, and I probably had a tiny window between trees and house, and even that was a bit of a stretch to kind of see them in there. So I am hoping, next cycle it'll be a little easier to see. And yeah, I think Jupiter would be a really good one to look at as well. I definitely think we'd be able to pick up some banding in there with probably easily see the moons, or the Galilean moons. But that's next season. Sorry, next season. That'd be next cycle. So mark your calendars for August 2021. We'll jump out back and we'll see if we can see Jupiter and Saturn. So it looks, clouds are cooperating, and I'm going to be honest, until the clouds go away, I'm going to stick around for maybe another half hour or so. Let's go till maybe 11 o'clock my time, because the rest of the week looks terrible for the weather. It looks like it's forecasting rain the majority of the time, so I may actually bring in the scope. As much as my outdoor cover is working great, it's still, to me, a little nerve-wracking leaving the equipment out there. So you never know how extreme the weather is going to change. Although I did leave it out when there was 35 mile an hour wind gusts and nothing moved. That's good to know. But where's our next target going to be? It's right, Stellarium. Let's pick a. Let's go to that's the wrong time. Let's go to right now. In my view available, we have what's in this area. Crystal Ball Nebula. Do I have that? Is that going to be visible? That is a planetary nebula. Let's see. It may not be high enough in the sky yet. Generally, I need to see something that is about 37 degrees above the horizon. Yeah, which it is not at the moment. That won't be available for a while. Right. Actually, where is what I was shooting last night? I was shooting the the Northern Trifid Nebula, which actually might end up being, this might actually still be too low in the sky. So I didn't really start shooting until later in the evening. Yeah, no, I enjoy doing this. It's me kind of filtering out my knowledge of what I've learned, and I think it's just, for me personally, that's just a better way of being able to learn and kind of solidify the ideas that I've collected, and being able to regurgitate that out in this kind of forum, and just share my experiences. That it just kind of helps me, it helps me retain the knowledge. It also makes me just want to. I discover new things that I want to learn more about. So it's just it works out for me. Hopefully, it works out for you, and we all kind of maybe pick up something new along the way each day. And whether I'm picking up something new in astronomy, or coffee, or coffee going down the wrong hole, discovering a new pathway into my body, discovering something new with astrophotography, or in astronomy, or, like I said, just we picked out the Seahorse Nebula. I never shot that one before, ever, so that was the first time seeing it. It was just being able to, or just figuring out something new in the stream. Picking out what's working, what's not working. What do I have to adjust? Like again, like with this latest follower thing, I know there is probably a very simple little bit of code that's going to show who is the latest one there. We show the latest follower, show who's not show who's watching, but I mean, you see up in the corner we have one person's watching with me, and I appreciate that, on Twitch. We got a couple others on over on Facebook. And we're picking a target. I said that Crystal Ball Nebula is a little too low. Let's see, Northern Trifid. Oh, that is like right in line with. You can't even see it on here. It's very faint. It's a faint object. Let's see if I can pull up one of the subs from last night. We have to stop on Mars there. Still tracking Mars. Let's see if we can just kind of pull up. That was M70. No, let's see if we can pick that one up there. Some of the stuff I was looking at last night was a lot higher in the sky, because I probably didn't start imaging until about 11:30, 12 o'clock almost. So it's depends on what's available in the area. Where is the? Because this one was kind of, I could probably image that one right now. The Little Dumbbell Nebula. That's a cute one. And that is, let's let's jump on that one there. M76. That's not what I was imaging last night. That one is that was a little too low right now. But let's go for M76, the Little Dumbbell Nebula. Now, earlier on, I did shoot the Dumbbell Nebula, which is a much larger planetary nebula up in, where is it? Up in, I'm not gonna guess. And Aquarius, or I'll double check on that one there. But let's go M76. Actually, while that's kind of doing its thing, I wonder if that works. Can I zoom in? Does that respond? No, it only works on my phone. But this little, well, that's kind of recalibrating there. That little box right there, that is the ASI Air. It's that is my little mini computer that's controlling the whole rig tonight. And this is the original version that was released a couple years back. I guess it was 2 years ago now. And they've since come out with a upgraded version, which has a lot more features and more capabilities than this one did. However, it does seem to suffer a bit with the Wi-Fi signal. So I've seen a lot of people changing up the inner components to actually add a whole antenna. They've doubled up with a Wi-Fi extender. So hopefully as the next upgrade kind of comes along for the ASI Air Pro, that they're going to kind of address that Wi-Fi issue. So that is possibly one of the reasons why I'm holding off on buying that, and funds notwithstanding. But something like that is just to be having the Wi-Fi cutting out or just not having the range that you want it to is a little frustrating. So it's, yeah, people getting those workarounds is all right. But again, you're spending more money on top of what shouldn't have cost you extra money. So with this version of ASI Air, it's doing everything I need it to do. There's nothing at the moment right now. My camera is totally supported with this, whereas some of the newer ASI cameras, they basically kind of do require the processing power of the ASI Air Pro, which is a Raspberry Pi 4, right? Whereas this is a Raspberry Pi 3 system. Right, so just picking out a new guide star. And this one, that one looks good. Looks like we're happy with that one there. I said wispy clouds might be rolling in. I can't see that too well. I would have to kind of go outside to have a really good look at it. But okay, I've picked a guide star, but their target isn't centered. But you can see it right in the, basically almost in the middle of the screen there. Tiny little planetary nebula. I have seen it referred to as the Barbell Nebula. Solved. Let's go there. and that's going to muck up the guiding. And when I have like a big scope adjustment, I do like to stop the guiding altogether, pick the star again, and we'll start guiding. That way it's not taking the time to make the necessary steps to get back to the point of alignment. At least this way, I just kind of pick that up there, and we're centered. That's happy chappy. Minutes on the little dumbbell nebula, M76 numbers right there. I was going to say M50, M57. That's the ring nebula, and that target is well beyond. That's obscured by the trees now. I did take some single images of the ring nebula, but not with this scope. I don't believe. Let's see. There's M57. This was. Yeah, so not tonight's image. Oops, sorry. That's but that was it was 3 minutes on the ring nebula. And that's that one is much closer to Vega. In the constellation of Lyra. But yeah, that's not one of our 10-minute images from tonight. That was done back that was late September. No, that's not the right date. 2020-09-21. It doesn't seem that long ago. I thought it was much longer. 5 seconds. And you can see just the efficiency of the camera, just being able to pick out those details in just a 5-second image. But like I said, this isn't that is the ring nebula M57, which I was going to call the little dumbbell nebula. Yeah, that's not the target right now. This is, like I said, M76. That's the little dumbbell nebula coming up in about 6 minutes. Thereabouts. Guiding is looking pretty good as long as the clouds aren't going to be mucking things up. So it's dumbbell nebula is another planetary nebula that's in Perseus, and yeah, so it's known as the little dumbbell nebula, quark nebula, because you'll see it is kind of like, it almost looks like a quark with this outer envelope kind of going around there, which almost looks more like an apple core, similar to the dumbbell nebula. And apparently originally it was actually thought to be 2 separate nebulae, so it was actually given 2 NGC catalog numbers, which is that's interesting, because again, the resolving power of some of the scopes, and just limited by our own eyesight, wasn't as efficient as things are today. So it's things like that you get, like, again, those traditional names where some galaxies are called nebula in a catalog. Yeah, you just get those classic names that wouldn't fit what we're looking at today. So while that's doing its thing, let's see if we can have a peek into Space Engine to look at the little dumbbell. Yes, that was part of Stefan's quintet there. Now we're moving away. You can just see just the collection of galaxies and how, just the way how they're that was really bright. What's that one? Just this network of galaxies together. That seems interesting. Let's just take a quick detour. Oop. Too fast. Slow down. That's an interesting looking galaxy. This one looks very, very bright. There's got to be way more stars near the core than. That's an interesting one. Diameter of 326,000 light years. That's pretty damn big. Oh, it's all right. Little dumbbell nebula. And apparently it doesn't. Oh. We were passing right through it. So this is, so I can get the angle that we would be seeing it at. And it's about like that. That would be how we're seeing it from Earth. So that's a little dumbbell nebula. And it is pretty tiny, just 1.3 light years in diameter. So to be enveloped in this nebula, if you could see the gas, it would be, kind of like that. Pretty cool. But that's our target that we are looking at in a couple of minutes there. And again, doing stuff like this, I could see if you're wearing VR goggles, it would be rather disorienting. Oh, yeah, let's see if we can make me throw up. All right, a minute and a half, and the guiding is, I got a star Stars lost. Yeah, we got clouds rolling in. All right, there's a view of the Dumbbell Nebula, and just off to the right is Andromeda. That's the Andromeda Galaxy there. Now, if the guiding can just kind of hold true for the next next 20 seconds, if everybody can kind of keep it together, we'll see this image come through. That's it, 10 seconds there on that one. Stars lost. Just hold it together long enough. Long enough. We want to see this. Hopefully everything is and not too bad. A little bit of movement there. Like I said, little Vienna sausage stars. We got some. As the clouds are rolling in. I said, take what we can get, right? Or otherwise, this was. I said I did try imaging this one just to see how it looked through the scope. But this is really just the second time I've made an effort to view it. But there she is. It's a tiny little thing. Adorable. Just taking a quick look at what the information on this. So the central star of this whole planetary nebula is a temperature of 88,000 Kelvin, and our temperature of the temperature of our sun is cooler than that. So yeah, our sun is 5,778 Kelvin. So yeah, this white dwarf. Is it a white dwarf in the side there? Well, the central star is much hotter. I'm just seeing why it's actually shaped like this, because it isn't usually. There's a more spherical shape to planetary nebula. The gas is expanding at about 42 kilometers per second, and yeah, just trying to find out why it has these two kind of wings around the cork middle there. Well, that's some homework for later to better describe this one. But yeah, it's like you can see generally that is that middle section there, like a cork, and yeah, to me that looks, it kind of resembles more of an apple core as well as like the Dumbbell Nebula. Yeah, so that compared to that, you know, I would say our to orient that just maybe closer to what we're looking at. So there's our two. Let's I'm going to see what the clouds are looking like, because that's going to determine if I do one more shot or if I just kind of call it a night now. And 2 seconds. Just gonna have a peek outside. All right, it looks like the clouds are really coming in now. So I'm going to be losing the night sky. However, it was amazing that we got this opportunity to do this one more time before the weather went to pot for the rest of the week. So I'm very happy that this managed to work out there. And yeah, it was really cool to be able to see a new target with everybody, and just to pick out a couple other little targets there, and just to look at Mars. I mean, I could look at Mars for the whole night, really, just to watch it in the viewfinder there. Nothing's going to drastically change, but it's just really cool to see another planet up, you know, as close as possible, you know. And I can only imagine just looking at it if I could use the higher power on the telescope and even boost it up by another 2 or 3 times to really get a long focal length and really get a good shot of the planet there. Not that I would do that right now at the moment, but yeah, I would be interested in seeing how well a Barlow lens would work on an RC telescope. Yeah, I have to look at that. I don't know if there's a specific one, although I thought there was a specific reducer that I had to buy for the telescope, but the one that I already had worked out just fine. So yeah, I think that's yeah, something to look forward to look into just a few upgrades or just kind of accessories for the scope. But planet season will be running out, or the planets will be moving behind the houses until the next time we come around there. So I probably won't be looking to do anything like that right now. I think everything that we're working with right now is working out really well. I'm happy with how everything is moving along. I do hope that whoever those of you who have tuned in today enjoyed sticking around with me for the last 2.5 hours. And it's always fun doing this. Enjoy doing this as much as possible. And I'm very happy that the skies were clear. Not that I didn't want to process the photograph from last night, but I think it's just something like this is more, it's live. It's not just me sitting there looking at a screen and working on a single image where it's very static. This is like the dynamic aspect of all this. So it's yeah, always good to have a clear sky. So like I said, skies aren't looking too well for the rest of the week. I will, like I said, I'm going to try to get a weather app available and kind of display that on my